Hi everyone, my name is Jackie. It is Friday, August 7th, and this is my third video to come and talk to you all about my stitching and my crafting that I've been doing in the last 3 weeks. I have a big bag here of whips and projects that I've been working on, and I just wanted to talk to you all. So I have some whips, some finishes, some fully finishes, some knitting, and then a bunch of life stuff like reading, plans, maybe, life, that kind of stuff. So this is my big giant bag of fun stuff I've been working on, and I will get to showing it. So over the last 3 weeks, I have had several finishes. There are a bunch of smalls, and then I've had about 5 whips and a couple of new starts as part of that. I had, for 2 weeks, my husband was away on a work trip, so it was just me doing solo parenting. I didn't have a whole lot of time to just sit and do things for me, but I tried to squeeze in what I could. That's one of the reasons I went to smalls. And then over the last couple weeks, at one point I got some tricky news and I was really confused about how to feel about it. And one of my outlets, my main outlet, is cross stitch, so I decided I needed some instant gratification, and how I did that was by going to smalls. So you'll see as part of my finishes I have a ton of just little ornaments that I'll go through. So I'll try to go in order of what I worked on. Maybe I'll do whips first and then I'll move into smalls. So the first thing I worked on with my big bag was Spring Awakens Mini Quaker by, who are these by? I can never remember. It is Stitches Through the Years on Etsy. She's no longer on Etsy, but that was the pattern. I was stitching this on 40 Count Sand by Zweigart. I was about halfway through the pattern when I picked it up, and I managed to get it done. So I had all of this done, and then most of this pot, except for the flowers at the end, and then half of this motif done. And then so I went in, I picked it up, and I finished it off. So I really like this. The color she calls for, it's all browns, greens, but they pull together very nicely with those little pops of color. And it is much smaller than I anticipated. This was my first project in 40 count. As you can see, I started way over on the side, all that's left over here. But my plan is I have the remaining seasons as well. I bought summer, fall, and winter, and I will add those on underneath when I start that. So it'll be fun. So I was excited to finally get this one off of my whip list. I've been working on that one sitting unfinished for quite a while, and it only took a few more nights actually to get it done. So it was kind of silly that it had been sitting for so long. Alright. The next one I worked on was Graveyard Guardian, which I keep in my under my Flint office bag. I love that show. This is by, I believe it's by Sprouting Lupine. I'll put a picture of the pattern up on the screen since I have it digitally. I'm stitching it on a 32 count even weave by Bestitch Me. I believe it is Macchiato. And here you can see how far I am. I think I'm about 60% done. And what I came in and worked on was I finished this flower here. I finished the inside of the lantern. I finished this candle. And then I did all of these motifs here. And then I believe I added some of these leaves, at least one of these leaves, if not both, some of this archway here. And then I think I had a hanging string and I finished up whatever was left in that black. So the reason why it's so piecemeal is in pieces like this, where say this dark gray color was here, if I finished this motif and I still had some thread left on my needle and it was called for down here, I would use up what I could down here. So that way I don't have to change colors so often. So that's why it's jumped around a little bit, but I am really pleased with how this one is turning out and the colors. I really like the use of the color and how like the lantern glows, things like that. I'm really excited to get this one finished. And then next I worked just a tiny bit on Jackrabbit, which I keep in here. It is a pattern by Cottage Garden Samplings. And same as last time, I worked on it just enough to work in some hanging threads and maybe one additional. I've mostly been working on the fill-in, so the light gray here and the white. So not a whole lot of progress on this one, but just enough to try to get in some more of those fill-in. So I really like the way he's turning out. So cute. And I'm stitching this one on a piece of 18 count. I believe it's Valor. I picture this, plus it's the called for. I'm pretty sure. And then the next thing I worked on was Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, which I can put in this bag here. It's by Carriage House Samplings. I'm sure you've seen this. Well, a lot of people are picking this one up right now. I am right here in this third block with the Headless Horseman. I didn't have a whole lot already started on it. I think I just started a little bit of these trees on the side when I picked it up. So I got quite a bit done. So like I said, I had just a little bit of the started of these trees up here, and so I came in and added everything else. I added the quote at the top up here, all of these bats, the orange pumpkin, the moon, part of the Headless Horseman's cape, and then all of the trees down here into the bottom. I was doing my best to add in all the bats and then outline the moon so I could just do straight fill-in. I had my book club on the first, so I wanted something I could just quickly and easily have the same color, just stitch the whole time we were chatting, which was great. So I actually filled in all of this yellow for the moon during our call, which is good. It's good. If you want to see what total progress looks like so far on this one, here it is. I think it looks really, really good. And this is on an 18 count vintage country mocha. So it's gonna take me forever to get done, but I'm looking forward to it. It's really fun. I'm stitching this in 1/1, 1/2, 1/1, 1/1. And then that's all of my regular whips that are not finishes. So, like I said, I'd been working on those projects just a little bit at a time, and then I got some news that I wasn't quite sure what to feel about it, and so I needed something to bring me of instant gratification, if you will. So I went into my pattern stash of what I had, say, what were smalls, what were ornaments, what could I do that would just give me that bump of endorphins, right? Oh yay, new finish. So the first thing I did was I finished out Summer Blessings by Primrose Cottage. I'd been working on this one. This is one of my freebies. So I knew this one was close, so I worked on this one until it was done. And this is on a piece of 36 count Golden Harvest by Atomic Ranch. It's a beautiful yellow. I used some of the called for and some stash conversion, and I left off the bees around the top that were still charted for some bees over here. I didn't think mine needed it. I think it's really well-rounded without them. I'm not sure how I'll finish it yet. It turned out much, much, much smaller than I thought it was going to be. You can see all this extra fabric around it. I feel like if I had known how small it was going to be, if I thought about it, I probably would have stitched it, flipped the rotated it, and then stitched it this way over here, and then had a whole another piece of fabric over here. But live and learn. Now I know for next time. So I'm glad to have that one done. That was really fun. Let's see what I do with it. Maybe a small pillow like on the cover, or maybe a flat fold. I've never done a flat fold. Thoughts? Anybody who's done the one before? Are they easy? Time consuming? Not sure. So then I went into my stash of, I knew I had a bunch of stitching with the Housewives, the smalls that I they have a sale on their patterns in their Etsy shop a couple times a year, and so what I do is I try to make a list of the ones that I keep an eye on, and then when they have their sale, I buy them. So I have a ton just waiting in the wings for me to get ready. So this is one of those ones that I pulled out. Sweet Slice, so it's a tiered trade tidbit. Thought I wanted something fun and summery, so I pulled this one out. I deviated greatly from the call for. I went to my stash and I pulled out this fun piece of 14 count Aida that I had dyed myself green, and then instead of red I pulled this like watermelon pink color, and I just did a conversion from my stash. And this white is actually a white with pink variegated through it, but it's really hard to see even in person. I think next time what I would have done is I should have inverted the white text to black thread, and I was just afraid it would be too dark for this, but I think it would have shown up much better than the white. But there you go, you can kind of see it there. It was great. It was just still really fun, quick, easy to stitch. It was only 3 colors. Got that done in maybe a night. So that was one of my fun, quick finishes. And then I had this one already started, and I just finished it up also. It was Rise. It's called Coffee Time by Stitching with the Housewives. And this one I actually ended up fully finishing it. So I got these little wooden blocks from Michaels in their unfinished wood section, and then I just put this little fabric on the back and I finished it up. So I have its matching one that I finished several months ago back in April. So now they have their pair. So but first coffee and Rise and Shine Coffee Time. So these will go in my coffee bar area. And then I did change some of the colors on these, like the green in here is red on the original pattern, and the flowers were yellow, but I changed mine to blue. So that was another finish. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I needed some good endorphins. And then another one I pulled out was Berry Blessed, and this one actually has a bonus pattern in here that I can't show you. There's no cover, but so this is 2 patterns. And I finished these also, and I actually ended up fully finishing these. I did these on that same green 14 count tan Aida that I dyed myself with that same like watermelon-y pink color. So I just did a little conversion. And in the pattern for Harvest Blessings, the truck was like what color was it called for? It was called for Clay Pot, but I didn't think that would go very well with mine, so I made my truck gray. So I thought these were fun. I think I might have to redo this one. This cording really frayed when I was putting on these beads, but I think they're just cute little ornaments. I finished in the black with some gray chevron. They're not perfect, but they're for my house, so that was fun. So it's 2 more. And then the last one that I finished is Spooky Season by Stitching with the Housewives. This is a cute little roundabout they had, Halloween roundabout, little ghosts. So theirs was called for on Coffee Tea Dye 28 count Monaco, and I went to Stash and I pulled out this 14 count flapper by Picture This Plus. I just think it's great, this purple color. If you can see, it's got all these little like accent confetti stitches here. Maybe that board is too white for it. Can you see better this way? There we go. I just think these little ghosts are so adorable, and that pumpkin in its face, and it's just so cute. Yeah. So I got started on this one, finished it. I just finished this one 2 days ago. And I got started on another one in my bag. What I did was I had all of these in my files, and so I printed them, all the ones out that I wanted to work on. So as soon as I finished one, I could go right to the next one. They're all going to be stitched on this 14 count flapper. And the next one I was started on as soon as I finished Spooky Season was Home Sweet Haunted Home. I am not very far on this one. I just have the start of the A, the U, and the N right there. That one will look cute. Most of these take like an evening and a half. So all these ready. So I have Home Sweet Haunted Home, which I'm working on now. And then I have Candy Corn. And then next is pumpkin carving. And this one has a bonus pattern inside as well that I can't show you, but it's October 31st. So it's there. And then witch's brew. So I'm really excited to have all of these done. If you can't tell, I went into major hardcore like fall Halloween mode. I needed something, and everything turned out to be totally fine. But while I was waiting, you know, to find out that it was totally fine, I just needed something to take the edge off. And then inside here, I started with using this bag for the berry stitching, and then I just never switched it out for anything fall. But in here, I have my ring of colors. So I have the berry colors on here, and then the Halloween colors. I know they're all raggedy, but everything in one place, coordinated. So these are some plans. These are probably what you'll see me finishing up the next time, hopefully. So that's one thing. And then I couldn't stop there. And I needed something else to do. So instead of being smart and picking out a whip that I already had in progress and working on that, I wanted something else new and fun. And I was on a Stitching with Housewives kick. And instead of going to my month-to-month seasons rotation that I already had started, no, I had to make things difficult for myself and add to my plate. And I pulled out a new series by them that I already had in my stash, their monthly weigh-in series, which I keep in this bag here. If you're not familiar, they have this series called Monthly Weigh-In, and they have one for each month. So this is August's pattern. It's this very cute like bees, and each one has a scale on it and a different theme for the month, and you don't have to stitch the month up here if you don't want to, the separate piece. I probably will. You could just stitch this if you weren't interested in stitching the months. I had all 12 patterns in my stash, and when I had gotten them, I had already had Monaco, so I had already tea-dyed the Monaco, and I had already pre-cut all of my fabric for the smalls and the large pieces. So I went to my stash, I pulled the colors, and I got started on this one. I figured we're in August. It was August 2nd, Sunday the 2nd, when I got a wild hair and I started it, and so I figured let's start with the month. And this is how far I got. So I'm pretty proud of that progress. It's all the called for except for the brown. The brown is called for as caramel by Classic Colorworks, but I didn't have that, so I pulled peanut by Color and Cotton. I sent that in. I think it worked just nice, just as well. Most of the top is done. The rest of it is all this fill-in down here for the dresser and the scale. So I think that's where most of the stitching will come in. I've started the outline of the dresser here, and then I'll need to do the scale down here. But I'm almost done with the B-skip. I realized I forgot the little top part up here. And then I need to fill in the green leaves here and some green leaves up here, the top of the honey jar, and then filling in of the honey jar, and then the rest of this down here. But pretty darn good. I forget each time how much, like, I like Monaco, but it frays my threads like nothing else. I'm not sure what it is about the Monaco, like the stiffness of it. It really does tear up my threads. I'm not sure why that is. If anybody knows why, maybe it's just because it's so stiff. But if you know me in my cross stitch, if I make plans, I tend not to stick with them. I don't know how much longer it will take me to finish this scale on the dresser down here with all that white fill in. But I've been working on this for, I haven't worked on it yet today, so I'm going to say 5 days I've worked on it. I got pretty far. Depending on how long it takes me, I might see if I can stick with it doing the one for the month that it's called in. I know life would probably get in the way and I'll crash out at some point, but we're heading into the really fun months of September. I'll show you what they look like. They're so pretty. My favorite months. So what the next couple months would look like. So this is September, the one I really, really want to do. So maybe I should save it for last, force myself, but this would be next month. Beautiful pumpkins and scarecrow. And then October is Halloween. November, little turkeys. and then Christmas. So this is what the next 4 months would look like, and they're just so cute and whimsical. I really like them. I have all of them now. That's all we have to go. We'll see. We'll see if I can convince myself to stick with it. Not that I need more whips. You saw them all. I have plenty. I already have series that I've started and not finished. I should be working on those, but this one was really calling to me, and I figured, why not? Why deny myself? That's what is calling to me. So that was all of the cross stitch I worked on. So I counted up. I had 7 finishes, 3 of those fully finished, and then 5 whips, including the new starts of the Home Sweet Haunted Home ornament and the monthly weigh-in. So it feels like a lot, but I think the smalls are kind of cheating. Maybe, I guess, not cheating. It's my stitching. It's my rules. Who gets to say what? Some other things I worked on was knitting. I finished my son's socks that I was hoping to get done, so I'll put in a picture of those here or here, wherever there's room. He's already taken them and been wearing them all the time, so I did not have an opportunity to save them for this video. I did get started on my pair of socks, so I was able to cast them on and get started on only on the cuffs for them, though. They're not that far, they're not very far along, but I have figured out about myself that I have to knit 2 at a time, because if I knit just one, I get second sock syndrome, and I will never do the second one. So this is where they are right here. Just little cuffs so far, teeny tiny. But they got started. So they just sit and they come with me everywhere I go in my purse. Like yesterday, I had to take my son to the doctor, and we sat waiting for an hour and 45 minutes while Kaiser's system was down while we waited for a prescription. I didn't get to work on these for that full time, but for a short period of time, these were in the bag and got to keep me company. Let's see, what else? So that was my knitting. Oh, I wanted to say thank you. Daisy Cottage Crafts and Wild Fox Stitchery both mentioned me on their channel, so thank you to everybody who's been watching who shouted out to me. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do this 3rd video or not. So thank you to everybody who has been watching, leaving me comments. That first video had so many views, and the second video I could tell just people drop off, which is totally fine. Like I said, this was just for me to put my stuff out. I like to share my stuff, and whether people watch it or not is just total bonus. So thank you again for taking the time to not only watch but try to mention me and share my stuff with other people. I think that's amazing. Thank you. Something else that creative bug that got me was beading. I saw other people have these charms on their bags, and I wanted to start. My son also really likes to get into crafts sometimes, so I ordered a bunch of beads to make these little charms for bags like this one. And I didn't realize how much I severely underestimated how much he would like the beads too. So I ordered some of those like cheap little pony beads that I thought he would really like, and then I ordered some nicer beads for me. Well, he tried to commandeer make necklaces and bracelets from all the really nice beads, and I had to take a step back and tell myself, you're an adult. It's okay if he uses the nice beads. You can buy yourself some more. It's okay. It was a really fun exercise for self. Like, I wanted to be like, stop, those are mine. But you're the grown-up, you're the adult, you're the parent. Let the kid have fun. So we did. We sat down together and had a really great time. He made a bunch of stuff and I made some stuff. And I've just been working on little things. Like I made this one yesterday. They're not perfect. They're for me only. This one just says cherries, and it's got a little cherry charm on the bottom. Just some fun little color coordinated beads. It's on wire. I'm still trying to figure out what the best material is that'll go through the beads and which that is still sturdy. And these are just some of the other fun ones that I made, because I know I have a lot of Christmas. So I made a little snowman keychain. This one was just the one that came in a little kit. Some little fun boots that probably go in a summer bag. And then this one, just some fun experiments with colors, and I had a little coffee cup at the bottom that says coffee. And then another little snowman, little bow. This one was cute. And then again, just like Christmas color theme. These little stars glow in the dark, which I thought was fun. And then this little Christmas tree. And a little Halloween fall ones, little pumpkin and some matching beads. And then this one, it's got a little gummy bear there. I don't know, I just thought it would be fun to have. And some of them are on these, what are they called? Like keychain bars, and some of them are just on string, and some of them are on wire. I'm still trying to just have fun with it. If I had it here, I would show you my son's necklace. It's very eclectic. Maybe I'll try to get a picture of it and put it in here. So let's see what else. I guess I'll move into like life, what I've been reading, watching, things like that. I have been reading, so I finished For Whom the Bell Tolls, which I had been reading last time for my book club. And then I read Dream More by Dolly Parton. It had been a recommendation to me by someone at work. It was only an hour listen audiobook. It was really good. Dolly Parton narrated it. It was super cute. Highly recommend. Very motivational. I read Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune, which is the second book. And from the first one, I already forgot what the first one's called. The House on the Cerulean Sea. So that one was really cute too. I really enjoyed the second one, the follow-up to that. And then I'm currently reading As the Shadow Rises by Katie Rose Poole. This is the second book in a trilogy. I read the first one last year, actually right around this time, and I'm having a really hard time remembering it as I'm listening to this one. Like bits and pieces are coming back, but I'm realizing either it wasn't that interesting or I waited too long between the first one and the second one to read this one. It's not bad. It's just I'm having a really hard time recalling what happened in that first one. My book club book for the month of August is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, which was one of my picks. I'm really excited for it. I'm just bummed it didn't get picked in October. If you've ever read any of Grady Hendrix's books, they are super out there, really creepy, but so good. Like my best friend's Exorcism was the first one I ever read by him. So good. I've read it twice. They made a TV show series off of it, or a movie, and they did a good job, but it is just like how he thinks up some of these things, like The Last Girls Club, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Hunt Vampires. They're just so good. I highly recommend them if you're into that type of genre. And then the last book I have that I know it's in my TBR coming up is called The Spell Shop. I'll put a picture up here because I'm blanking on who the author is. I'm looking forward to that. Just some fun, whimsy, cute story to throw in there. I've been watching House of the Dragon. I'm finally caught up on that. The Dink on Apple. I used to play tennis in high school, if you can imagine it. So watching that and how it was just really funny. If you like tennis at all or pickleball, it was super funny. If you can watch that one on Apple, I recommend it. I've been rewatching The Silo on Apple also. They just released the new season. I went back and I rewatched the first two seasons and just started the third season. Last summer I read the books and I tried to watch the third season and I was getting really confused about what had happened in the books and what had happened in the show, because they started out following the books pretty closely and then they start to deviate really far in the second season, and so I was getting really confused. So I went back and I rewatched the first two seasons so I could get my mind straight on which was which, and I'm really liking that so far. I'm really interested in where they're going to take the third season now that they've deviated quite so much. It'll be interesting to see a whole brand new story, disassociate from the books. We went and saw I really, really enjoyed it. Some of you may not be Marvel fans or Spider-Man fans, but it was really, really good. I cried twice. It was good. I know, I think I say everything's good. If anybody was wondering, we went to the state fair. I did not ribbon, which is totally fine. It was just still really cool to see my black water sirens hanging up there along with all these other amazing artwork. I took some pictures, my family came with me, and it was a really fun experience to see it all. I'll try to put some photos here of us looking at it and seeing everything else that was around. I'm seeing other people who won. There was another piece there. It only got an honorable mention, which I don't know how it was an honorable mention. It was this gorgeous stitched piece of a snow queen in profile, like turning back, and the frame, it was amazing. I would have given it all the ribbons, but somehow it only got an honorable mention. So I really don't know how they decide the judging components for it. It's not made very clear on when you enter. But that's who I would have given mine. It was amazing. I wish I didn't get a picture of it, but I wish I had to share it because it was just beautiful. So we went to the state fair. That was one of the things that we've done. Like I said, my husband was gone for a couple weeks for work, and so it was just my son and I doing all of our life stuff. I ended up rearranging my craft room, if you can see. I have some drawers here now blocking my wall back here. So that took up some time, but now all of my stuff is better organized for finishing and everything like that, which I'm really excited about. I did the beading. I did get some felt. I don't really have a haul, but I did end up buying some felt because when I do pillows and things like that, I want to try to do finish them on the backs with maybe some die cut pieces using my Cricut with felt. So I wanted to try that out without just using the cheap Walmart felt. So we'll see how that goes. I don't really want to buy a die cutting machine, but I'm super tempted. I don't need another craft. But I see videos from Nicole Spohr and Love and Stitchin who use their die cuts, and it looks really fun. It looks super intense, but it looks really fun to use as finishing pieces. So I might try that. If I can do it with my Cricut, so I don't have to buy anything else. I'm trying really hard. If you notice, all the stuff that I did, all the finishes and all this stuff, it was all stuff I already had in my stash. I already had all the patterns, I already had all the materials, I didn't buy anything, which I felt really good about. I was just using up what I already had. And then just some plans, I guess. So for these, I need to ask an opinion, maybe if anybody will have any. For these spooky season rounds, I don't think I really want to finish them like I made these ornaments. I have these tart tins left over from when I was from my month to month. I only needed one of those, and so I have a bunch left over. So I'm thinking these are perfectly sized to fit these little ornaments in here. I already have my batting pre-cut, so I'll show you. So this would fit in here like that, and then I was thinking of backing them with this gingham fabric in here. I'm doing a really bad job of showing this. Let's see. So it would be the purple rounds with the gingham fabric as another round on here. I think that would be really fun. I just don't know how, if anybody has any ideas, how you get this piece to stick to this, because these are non-stick. So do I have to scratch it up? I'm not sure. I haven't been able to figure it out for my other one either. I just kind of set it in there and hope and pray. But if I want to hang these up, if I want to glue anything, glue does not stick to them. I haven't figured out. Magnets do, but that doesn't help me if I can't get this to. But I'm thinking that's what I'll do is once I finish all 6, I will turn them into rounds in these little tart tins, because we are big. Halloween is my husband's favorite holiday. Huge in Halloween in our house, and Christmas, if you couldn't tell. We have 2 Christmas trees. One is a Harry Potter Christmas tree, and one is a Nightmare Before Christmas tree. The Nightmare Before Christmas tree is we call it our old and busted Christmas tree that my husband and I bought when we were first dating at a Home Depot Black Friday sale 16 years ago now, 15 years ago. It is very old and busted, so we were talking about maybe swapping it for a black tree, and I think if I can convince him to put it up for Halloween, which I don't think would be very hard. Twist his arm. These would be really fun on. What do you think? So that's my idea for that. And then leading into that, I have this stuff here. So this was part of that wild hair of I need new things now, but not new. So I went like going to my stash and finding patterns that I had. I found this fabric in my stash, this green dyed. This is what I used to do the berry rounds and the sweet slice, that 14 count Ada. I was thinking of doing doing the Halloween ones on that, but then I found the purple, so I set that aside. And I had pulled out, I had in my stash the Halloween Biscorno trios from Puntini, and last Halloween I stitched this one. Maybe around Halloween when I get out my decorations I can show you all the one I finished, but I still need to do the one with the cats and the one with the skeletons. So I already had from last year this pre-cut Ada to do one of them on. I don't know the count. I think this is a 16 or an 18 count that I just dyed myself that was in my stash. I might do the skeletons on this one because I think the yellow from the flames on the candles will really pop on this color. And then I had this on my stash also, which was a 32 count even weave that I dyed with pearl gray Rit dye to do these cats on. The only thing I'm concerned about is this, like these gray roses, if they'll show up or not. So I'll put that aside to work on. Possibility. And then I also pulled out these ones from Stitching with the Housewives. I pulled out Early Bird Coffee and Tea. It's Good to Be Home. Does that one have a bonus in it? It does. This one has a bonus in it. And it says Family is Forever. So this one has two. And I pulled out this cut of Charles Craft linen from an old project that I figured I'd do these two small ones with 28 count. They fit both of them on there. And this one is We Are Family with the bonus of Home Sweet Home, and these are rounds also. And I just had this extra cut. This was from a Bestitch Me Even Weave grab bag. You can't, it's not white. It is like a peach color. It's really hard to see, but I figured it would go really well, and I'd probably change some of the colors on these, but these would be fun. But I was really leaning into fall and Halloween. So I also picked out Farmer Brown's Corn Maze, Spooky Haunts, Black Cats and Spooky Bats, which has a bonus inside. I think it's Freaking Bats is the bonus yet. So those are both roundabouts. And then there's these ones, If the Shoe Fits. And Monster Mash. So these ones, I had hoped I would have enough of that 14 count flapper to do all of them on, and I don't. So I couldn't decide. I don't think this is not going to be big enough to fit all of those on either. So I found, where did you go? I have this plain white Ada in my stash, and I might dye it, but I wasn't sure. I needed help to decide, should I try to go for another purple? Or should I go for like an orange or a green? I'm not sure. This one, they all have a lot of like yellow and orange. This one's a roundabout, but it could still be in a coordinating color. But it's like a lot of orange and white and black. Some purple in there. So I thought maybe like a fun green would be good, but then I was worried it wouldn't match with him. So let me know what you think. What color would be fun to dye this with? Like maybe orange with black speckles, or green with black, or purple. I wasn't sure, but I have a bunch of red dye and I can totally make it work. And then I also, I went hard, people. I had big lofty plans. I pulled out Meet Me at the Pumpkin Patch, Pumpkin Spice Coffee Co., which also has a bonus of Fall is My Favorite. pumpkin is the spice of life. So it's just called Spice of Life. And then, so I pulled out, I had some Mustache 28 count black witched. I think it's not chocolate black, I think it's just black by witched. So I pre-cut those, they're ready to go. And then Pumpkin Patch is a tiered trade tidbit with a bonus inside of Pumpkin Spice Season. So I also had that same 28 count witched ready to go. I'm in the smalls mood right now to get a lot of decorating done. So if you want to peek into the mind of Jackie when I was working on these, I pulled out all of the patterns, pulled up a spreadsheet, and I said, okay, here's the pattern. Like, here are the pattern group. Here's the call for color, the DMC equivalent for that whole group. So these are the colors I'm going to need. So if it said, let's say, for the Halloween roundabouts that are on the purple Ada, total it called for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colors. So I needed to make sure I just had 8. And if I had the call for it, great. If I didn't, I could just swap it out or like pull it from my stash. So that's how I did it. That's how I can kit up all of these at one time, is I just make a list of all the call for colors and make sure I have at least the call for or the equivalent ready to go on my ring. That way I can just have them and get them ready to go. And I did it for everything at once. Yeah. Sorry, this is my little over type A personality coming through in my crafting. Yeah. So let's see. This is for finish. And this is for sword. And then I think that was it. Oh, the last thing, I don't have any haul, like I said, but I did win for Frogwarts. Like I mentioned last time, they have all these competitions. I did win one of these things called a stash dive, where they provide you a list of items where you have to find in the room that you're in. So I picked my office, my craft room, and they give you a prompt, a list of 20 things, and you can only use one item one time to meet the prompt. And the most I've ever found was 15, and that's the one I happened to win. So I won a prize, and that's what I received. So it came in this bag. This was from the Black Needle Society. It was a prize bag that I won as part of the retreat. So it came with this bag. It came with this pattern from the Stitch Crypt called Mushroom Witch, which is really neat. It's very beautiful. It has a lot of floss called for. Or did it say 29 colors? And it is 89 by 40, 89 by 94. So it's beautiful, but it is definitely going to be a doozy to kit out because it's a full color chart if anybody's curious. Because look at that floss list. And it is charted in Cosmo, but you can switch it to DMC, I believe. And then what else did it come with? It came with, the call for on this is 14 count Lavender Twilight by Witch's Garden's Craft, but I think they gave me a Lilac 28 count Lagana. So that's really pretty. I just got this yesterday, so I don't know who makes this, but it's a pretty like light purple. If it'll fit on that would be great. I don't think the intention was to kit up the chart, but it definitely coordinates, which is awesome. And then it also came with this trim from Lady Dots Creates, which I've never used any of her things before. It is called Floral Lace Trim, 1 inch yard. And it is all these colors. It's very interesting. I think it definitely goes with her though. It goes with the Stitch Witch, coordinating colors. I'm not sure how I'll use it, but for sure it's like green and brown and purple and pink and red. And then this little floss set, it came with a little set of, they're not any of the called for this chart. I think it was just a set of new flosses maybe from Market. It's Weeks Dye Works Coquina, Battle Axe, Catmint, Let Freedom Ring, Turmeric, Butterfly Kisses, and then Sampler Threads, Kelp, and Shipwreck. Smart case. Let's see here. The variety. It's really cool. So it's fun. And these are definitely new colors I didn't already have in my stash. These may be the new ones that were released at market this spring, but I'm not sure. So that was really cool. It's always fun. I never win anything, so it's really neat. And it wasn't just random. Like, I actually had to work and put effort into winning it. So there's that. I think as far as like stitching plans, my goal, I will be working on those rounds. We'll see if I peter out and decide I want to work on just one big project. I hope I stick with it and continue working on my monthly weigh-in, because I really want to finish that one for August. I don't have any of my monthly series is finished. I have not done any of them. I peter out at around a few months. So my goal in pencil is to try to stick with them, and if I move on from weigh-ins, maybe I'll go back to the see, I'm already changing it, my month to month, because I have April started for that one, but I know I have September, October, November done on those ones, so I could always try to get ahead from some other months in that series and try to get that one completed and out of my list. But I do feel really good about, I think I said this earlier, when the Stitching with the Housewives, when they put their charts on sale, their once or twice a year sale, I try to get the ones that have bonuses, because you get extra, right? And if they're already on sale, so I try to get a bargain if I can. But a lot of PDFs, I'm sure other stitchers would say, PDF charts sometimes go into your files, into the ether, and they stay there. So I felt really good about, one, using up my stash. So I just went to my stash and pulled fabric and thread for my stash, using that up, and then using up the PDF charts that I have, like not just going to a physical chart because I remember that it's there, actually going in there, looking through all of them, and then deciding, okay, these are the ones I really, really want to do right now, and then I can just say, hey, they're done, right? And then I have all these finishes and decorations for my house, which I think will be really cool. And last thing I wanted to share was, if anybody was curious about this bag, last fall, Fat Corner Shop had shared that they were releasing some new piecing paper for like braiding paper. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a foundation paper where you could do this braided pattern. And if you can't tell, I like PDFs, I like instant gratification. I don't like to wait or pay for shipping if I can help it. So I figured, hey, I could do that. I don't need the paper. So that's what I did. I went to my fabric stash. I had all these little strips left from other projects. I made my son a Nightmare Before Christmas quilt a couple years ago, and I had all of this fabric left. So I went in there, I stitched together this braided center right here, and it goes all the way around the bag. And then I figured I needed a tote bag pattern, so I found a pattern that I liked, and I figured out a way to fit the braided section into the middle. And then I had this Mickey head, pumpkin head fabric in my stash, and I added that as a top. And then I also had these spiders, so I used that as the straps, and then just lined it in the inside, and I made it. And it's huge, it's a big bag, so I use this a lot to go, like, take my whips and stuff with me to karate if I need to, or to look like, as I was working on things over the last couple weeks, I would just throw them in this bag so everything was in one place and I could carry it around. And then I liked this one so much, I made a Christmas one. In California, Northern California, we have something called the Dickens Fair every Christmas time, from like Black Friday and Thanksgiving through the first couple weeks of December. In San Francisco, they have the Dickens Fair, and my family and I, my mom and I, always go. We've been going for the last 14 years. The only year we ever missed was 2020 because of COVID and it was closed. And sometimes when it's virtually the same every year, but it's just our tradition. We go over there, and if you buy stuff, it's hard to carry it on. So I made myself a Christmas version of this bag also. So now I have this one, a Halloween one, a fall one, a Christmas one, and maybe someday I'll do a spring one just when I feel like it. The only thing I don't really care for is quilting. So you have to quilt the bag to the whatever you want to use inside, soft and stable or foam. And I only have my at home, like I have a Juki DX7. I don't like quilting on my at home machine. I dream someday if I could have a long arm machine. I do not have the space, I do not have the money. But if I could have a computerized long arm machine where I could just set it and forget it, it did it for me, I could get so much more done. Alas, I don't. So I'll stick with what I have for now. I'm sure my husband will appreciate that. But I really like this bag and I was super proud of it when I made it. And so yeah, thought I'd share that. Let's see. I don't think that I have anything else. So please share with me your ideas. What color should I dye my fabric? If you have any tips or tricks for me to motivate myself to finish my projects instead of starting new ones. But I think I got a lot done. Hopefully I continue to keep checking off my patterns because I have a Notion where I have like all my patterns in there that I've started that I just haven't stashed, things like that. And it's really nice to move things from pattern stash to finished or working on instead of it just sitting there as a long list. So if anybody has any tips or tricks for that to keep me motivated, because I've tried WhipGo, it doesn't work. I've tried the 1 thread a day on like my bigger projects. I'm trying to get Hello in Hawthorne Hollow. I don't know what it is about. Sometimes I can only stitch for 15 minutes and that'll be my 1 thread and maybe that's not what I want to work on. So yeah. Yep. Anyway, now I'm just rambling. So thank you everyone again for watching. If you come back, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you spending time with me. Have a happy Friday, have a happy weekend. If you're in summer, I hope you're in a cool environment or where you can stay cool. If you're on the other side of the world, I hope you're having a nice fall / leading into winter. Yeah, have everyone has a great weekend.